logging for several months, and working with the city of Newport News about potential opportunities that they have. And so that is what brings us here today. We are recording it. Not everyone was able to make it on the short notice. So we are recording it so we can share the information with those individuals that could not make it for this meeting. But I'd like Tracy and Floyd, please, to acknowledge, give them a chance to acknowledge themselves, and then we'll get into it. I know you're busy. Not going to keep a lot of your time. We'll go straight to the nuts and bolts of what's going on, and then tell you what the next steps are. Tracy? Did I lose it? Ms. Wiley, any opening remarks? I think I put her on the spot. Mr. Miller?
Yeah, good afternoon, Tommy.
How you doing,
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being in attendance today. I'm not sure what happened to Tracy, but I do know she plans on attending. So I'm just excited about this opportunity and the collaboration. I think we have an opportunity to really do something special, working with the folks over in Newport News. And so I'm excited for you guys to be here to learn more about this opportunity.
All righty. Hey, thanks, Floyd. And as Floyd said, the segue is that, we met with Tracy. Floyd and I met with Cynthia Roth, and I may be mispronouncing her name. She's the city manager of Newport News. And one of the things they've asked us as we are partnering with them is that they're having their challenges is finding qualified minority businesses in order to participate. What I will tell you up front, they have opportunities and they have money, and now they're looking for folks to help them with the development, and redevelopment of Newport News. And so that's what this really is about. So this is our first meeting of interest, and to gauge that interest, this meeting will be followed by a guided tour by the city manager of Newport News and her staff on the 24th of October, between 1 and 5 p.m. So you can actually put that, if you're interested in being there in person, you can put that as a save the date on your calendar. Because when we finish here, we will send out a invite for that date, and to get the actual confirmation of who wants to attend, so we can tell them, and they can have it's going to be a guided tour by the city, so they have the appropriate transportation and resources set up to receive us when we get down there. Okay, and this will all be followed up in an email after this is over with, and we're going to ask that you reply back by close of business 5 o'clock on this Friday, so we can get that information to Newport News and then come back to all those that are interested on to continue the process. As you know, the city of Newport News, it sits along the shore of the James River. They got about 187,000 people, and a rich history and a variety of things to see and do down there. And what they're doing, like many cities, they're actually primed for redevelopment in a lot of areas. Again, and as it was shared with us that they have funding even to help get started with some things, looking for not only construction in the trades, but developers and investors for that matter, in order to help them with their redevelopment processes. And they're also doing some teaming with the city of Hampton, which is next door to them. Okay, and there's a link that we will provide you when this is over. But I think we're going to share on the screen if Claudia can make it work for us and give you a highlight, show you the things that they're talking about that they're doing, and that they will give a even more in-depth briefing on the 24th, and then an actual tour of those sites. Okay.
Can you see the screen? I just wanted to make sure.
I saw it and I lost it, but that's on my end.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
see if I can. There we go.
Yeah.
You can
Right.
see it, Newport News.
Everybody see the screen?
Yep.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
So now everything you see today, there's a link that we're going to send you in that email and that invite that you can peruse. So, you know, I'm not going to go. I played with it to see all of, and it's rich with information. And so, again, you will get that when this meeting is over with. But you can see the areas in blue where the city has three major things that talk about redevelopment sites, city investments, and points of interest in land use. On the left-hand side of the screen, the chart, those four sub bullets are active links to each one of their detailed programs that they're looking at. As you can see with the downtown area, they got community development, they've got business center, if you will, development with shopping centers, parks and recreation, the gambit, you know, that a city has. Again, so so Claudia, if you could in the size, if you could yeah, come over to where it says site size acreage, bring the cursor there, and that should be, if you click on it, it should blow that up. Okay, so this is the size of the acreage that's in their plans. And you can see from like 1.17 to almost 40 acre sites that they're planning to develop.
So Tommy,
Go ahead.
is it 40 acres or is it, or 40 acres is just one of the sites?
No, the number of projects that they have range from in size from 0.25 acres up to 40
Okay.
acres. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So Claudia, if you can take that down. And if you click not site information, it was come down where it says assess value. Click on that and then do the same thing. Okay, and you can see the range in the dollars associated with the assessed value of those sites from 48,000 up to, and my eyes are going bad as small as that is, but that's the range of the value of the sites that they're talking about. Okay. All right. And if you come down where it says detailed potential developments, this 23 pages of with pictures, you can scroll down a little bit in that one, Claudia, of those sites that were depicted on the graphs. And there's 23 pages of those individual sites with the details and the value of that site. Okay. This is what's in the link that you'll get. You close out of that one. If you come over to the left-hand side of the screen and scroll over the first bullet, should be able to activate that. May take a minute as it loads up. But this is, and I forget how many pages. So this document summary report tells you about their super block charrette, which is, I think, part of the downtown area that lays out all the things that they're looking at. Okay. Claudia, go to the, you click out of that one and you can go to the next link. And obviously then you will have access to this report that the city has, and it talks about other projects. This is for the urban design for the vision plan that they have. And again, that staff will go in detail with all those that are down there on the ground. Okay. The next one. This is the city managers at their transformation plan, that how they plan to transform Newport News. And then this is a community development plan that they're working from the shore to inland.
Click on which one? I'm sorry, Tommy.
No, I was saying from shore to inland. So on the map, if you on the map itself, Claudia, I think you can click that. You can see the legend on the right. It tells you what's being redeveloped, and you can actually on your computer, it comes up much larger, where you can see the different circle area redevelopment areas are circled in blue. These are where the sites that will be visited. And then some of the sites that we visit, and then you got redevelopment sites in the light blue. It maps all that out for you, so you can see the legend on the right-hand side. So those are the areas that they'll be talking about.
So some of these, Tommy, they are waterfront areas, right?
Yes, they are. Yes.
Okay.
In fact, they have on the street right now, one closed on the 28th of October and one on the 7th of November. One is to do a seafood market redevelopment, and the other is a restaurant, if I remember correctly, Floyd. And they close on the 28th. And we actually have the links to those, and we can send those to you. Actually, we have the links to those RFPs that they shared with us, and they're still trying to get enough competition with that and the right people. Now, I will also tell you that what was shared with us was that one of the challenges is getting people to compete on the RFPs. RFPs are still live and well, but they're also looking at some creative contracting, if you will. And I think my colleagues can expound on that if I don't catch it all. Is that the city will also entertain looking at I'm from the federal government, sole sourcing if they got the right company with the right project in order to get that work done. So there's a number of avenues, not all open competition. Some of it will be direct awards if they can pull their acquisition planning together inside the confines of their rules and regulations.
So Tommy.
Yeah.
Question. So how does Newport News expect to start the process in working with these potential contractors? Because on the 24th, we're going to do the walkthrough to see what's out there. What's the next step after that? Because I think folks who want to know, is it just going to you go and look at the RFPs that are out there, or will Newport News want to sit down with this group and just get a good feel for who they are, what they are, and what they can bring to the table?
Floyd.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And I think what we plan to do, we've discussed the next strategic plan with this, but we want you guys to come up with some questions just like that before we meet with them. So we want to compile a list of questions, just as you just made that great point. But I think it's an opportunity. First of all, I will say that they're very intentional about working with Tracy and Tommy, and that says a lot, I believe. And secondly, I think it's about developing the relationships and learning about not only those two major opportunities that are coming up, but some of the main opportunities that they have down the road. So I think, two words to define this, to really summarize it, is that they're very intentional about working with us, and they are very interested in developing relationships that can be long-going relationships.
Okay.
Tracy, were you able to reconnect, or you still on? So
Can you
what
all hear me?
yes,
Okay, all right. I'm trying not to have this. Is it echoing in the background?
yeah, there's some feedback, but we can hear you.
Okay. I've had a lot of conversation back and forth with them.
Yes, so it seems like she's having some conference. Here's what I can tell you. This is not something that happened overnight. Tracy Wiley has been working this for the last year plus with the city of Newport News, which has actually reached out to her for consultation on how to get to where they need to be. And especially when it comes to minority businesses. And, you know, I met Floyd Miller this spring, and, you know, we signed an MOU together in July, and this wasn't even on our plate at the time. And so, but through Tracy, and just to be frank, what Newport News has asked the three of us to do, because they can't do it themselves, is what can you help us find qualified minority businesses that can play in this pool? I mean, so, you know, all I can say to that is that the next steps after the 24th is we'll see how real everything really is, but I don't think that they would be wasting the resources to do the, you know, the tour and stuff if they weren't serious. And you know, they're worse. They got opportunities and they got money, but they don't have folks that can help them put that money to build, to redevelop the city the way they want to do it. So, and so, you know, our goal today is to find out who's interested, because we know you're busy and you're doing things, but we were, as using Floyd's words, we were intentional in the folks that we reached out to invite to this meeting, because we know what you bring to the table. So, you know, and that's the message.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I'm Vince Tucker with Quality Moving Services. So looking at one of the bullet points of choice neighborhood plan. So I'm looking at Stewart Gardens right there. There are low-income apartments right there on the water.
Mm-hmm.
Are they looking to relocate all of those folks?
Based on the conversation, the answer is no. They're not talking about relocating all those folks, but it's like across the country regentrification. They plan to part of some of this funding that they're getting, this federal funding that that's causing them through HUD to do certain things in those low income areas and not displace people.
Okay.
So,
All right. Thanks.
you know, it's a combination.
Okay. Thank you.
But again, another good question, like Floyd said, send those questions into us. We're gonna compile them, but you will have the opportunity to look them in the eye and ask them the questions. I mean, wholeheartedly.
Hey, Tommy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is Harold Parker with Old Dominion Electrical Supply. I hope you're doing well today.
We are.
Good. My question is, do they have goals for MBE participation on this project? And how do they think they're going to achieve those goals if they do have goals on this project?
And that's a great question. And the answer is yes, they do. And they're trying to get in front of a lot of that. I will tell you, with the federal funding that is coming down, in my background is primarily out of the federal government. Some of this funding that they're getting is from HUD, and there's federal guidelines they've got to follow, but even the state of Virginia guidelines. And so they're looking at to try to do the best they can in order to reach that. I will tell you right now, I don't think they're nowhere near to reaching those goals. Why? Because I mean, as we were told, they haven't been able to find qualified minority businesses to even want to compete there. Right now, we're talking searching outside of Newport News. They don't have the capacity in-house, to get the work done.
Can I ask you another question, Tom?
Yes.
I've heard they quite a lot here. They. Who is they, and how do we get in touch with the they so that
Okay.
we can put our name on the list and let them know who we are and
Okay.
send them our capability statement and so forth and so on.
Yes, sir. So I apologize. I'm from South Louisiana using that they word. I think I opened up though, and I said city manager,
Thank you.
Cynthia Roth from
Newport News.
News. But
Yeah.
I will tell you, your name will be on the list because you're talking to the theys on the screen, Floyd Miller, Tracy Wiley, and Tommy Marks. So I'm an old Army guy, cavalry scout. So we're your point people. And so they're waiting for us, they being the city of Newport News, waiting for us to get back to them on who's gonna be down there. And if Ramon Hardy's gonna be one of those guys, I know he ain't the one talking, I plan to send his name. And so that's what I need to know. So the next step for this is we're trying to get a commitment of who will show, who wants to be down there, or who can be. And I know you've got different schedules. This is a short period. Doesn't mean you're out of the running if you can't make the 24th. I want to be clear on that. Okay. If you're interested for the long haul, that's what we want to know. And we're going to provide those names to the city manager of Newport News. I'm going to hand carry them down there, even after we send the email. Does that answer that question?
It does, in fact, and Floyd knows us, and so does Tracy Wiley. We know them both well, and certainly our name you can put in the hat. We have a capability statement since 1983 of supplying electrical supplies.
Yes, sir. They told me to look out when we were gonna start this, so I'm okay.
Hey, Tommy.
Yes, sir.
Since I'm in logistics, how about if I drive you down there?
All right.
So we'll make sure we get down there together.
All right, we'll do that. Yeah. So, but look, we're gonna send you Claudia, who's been sending the invites out. She's gonna send you the link that had all that information on it, and you can play with that. To your heart's content. Formulate some questions. What I'd ask you to do, send those questions to them. We'll compile them. But we're not gonna be the mouthpieces when we're down there. It's gonna be, hey, the introduction's done, and then you all jump on them with the queries, because that's who the show is for. It's for the people that's on the screen.
Hi, Tommy. This is Cheryl Scruggs from Huguenot Transport.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us what the timeline, when do they have a vision for the projects delivering?
Well, so what I will tell you is that it was yesterday. And so they're playing catch up. You heard me mention there's 2 RFPs on the street right now that they're desperately trying to get. That's on the port side, if you will, on the shore side, that closed on the 28th. But Cynthia plans to lay out, and her staff, and I don't think I'm misspeaking, in detail what's in that link, and when they plan to do this. Some of the stuff they're far behind. That they wish they'd been able to start a year ago or so. So I think when you go down there, it's going to be rich with that information.
Good afternoon.
So is there a lead, on these projects, these build projects, for instance, I think it was Stewart housing development.
Right.
In the redevelopment of that, is there a GC that's been selected? I mean, is this?
No, I understand. No, Cheryl, I understand exactly what you're asking.
Mhm.
We don't have those answers.
I see.
Newport News has those answers, and on the 24th, I think some of those questions will be answered. We did talk when we had our meeting with them. They talked about needing general contractors, and they've got at least one project that has somebody on it that's looking for a partner, and they will share that information when we get down.
Oh, see. Okay.
Good afternoon. This
Hey,
is
Tommy.
Cheryl.
Tommy,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go
Tommy,
ahead.
this is Tracy. And thanks, and I thanks for everybody's patience for me getting on today. There's a lot of really good questions going on, and Tommy's done a great job of fielding them, and thanks, Floyd. for the last question that came up, I think that was young lady who talked about the different who's leading the projects. Just so you all know, that there are some prime contractors that have already had some interest. Some have come down to look at some of the projects. Many of them are not committed yet. I think I heard questions about procurement, and I believe that there are some that are going to have to go through the procurement process, but there are many of these that are waiting for what I would call a sponsor in a home, because they have monies available through some of the federal monies that have come to the city, as well as monies available through what's been approved through city council. And they're just looking for partners to begin to talk about financing and begin to talk about stacking collateral and how they can make these projects work. And their goals are centered around minority contracting. In particular, we're trying to kind of get you all down there, get this conversation moving, because there's an election that's coming up in November, as you all already probably know. And it's a really hot election. The former mayor has been there over a decade and is leaving, not running for re-election. And it could really change the face of Newport News. So the timing is really important right now, that we get you all, in the conversation, get you down there to speak with Cynthia Roth, who's the city manager, to talk with the EDA group. There's about a half a dozen of those that make up that group. And then there's a couple city council members as well. And so I apologize I couldn't get on sooner to give you a little bit more information, but certainly open for some of those questions. And I think Sharon was about to speak.
Just real quick, I'm sorry, this is Grace. I have to jump off the call. I just want to say that I am on board. So Floyd, please just keep me abreast as to what the next steps are. And I'm in. And congratulations to whoever pulled this group together. There's some powerful people on this call. Hope that we can do something. Thank you.
Thanks, Grace, and congratulations to you too.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Floyd, Tracy, and Tommy, for bringing this group together. I was listening, and my concern was this timeline. It's like, I hope, I don't know how to put this, but that this is not just another case of who are the majority players? I mean, are there majority players in this endeavor here?
So Sharon, there has been some majority players in Newport News and Hampton Roads, some of which are familiar to us here in Richmond, like Horgans and that, SB Ballard and some others. But I think that the questions will be that you all can ask is just that, who's already on board, who's already been invested in Newport News. And those questions are better served coming from you all than coming from the three of us. Okay. So, because that lets them know what the conversation needs to be.
Yeah, because again, I mean, the majority folks, I'm sure they've been on this bandwagon for a while, and they've got their place. And now everybody, like this election year, they're trying to scramble, positioning themselves and whatnot. So I'm just concerned is, that they're serious about really wanting the minority folks involved in this project and not just another a pony, a dog and pony show. Just so, because I heard when it first started, this is like they can't find. I'm like, okay, here we go again.
Yeah,
they can't find, so.
Those are well-founded concerns, and trust me, I've heard it from a number of you on the call today, before today, and even as early as today, that we don't want to just come down here for the wink and pony show, and I get that. I do believe that the comments that were made to me was just that minority companies now aren't even bidding anymore. And I said, there's a reason for that, because, we have been tricked and hoodwinked so many times before that we don't want to make that type of investment of time or resources. And we certainly don't want to be put out there in that dog and pony show if there's not going to be any real return. So I will say to all of you all, as I said to a couple others earlier, I've spent some time with them before. It's like spending time with people before you introduce them to your family. And so spent some time and saying, if we bring them, we expect some return. And that's really all I got. I can't make any guarantees, but I will say that we will go at it differently than maybe we have before. They may have had some lost commitments prior, but I think these folks, and when I say these folks, the city manager, the current mayor, and whomever who may come in are looking at a different vision for the city of Newport News. And they've got a lot of property, lots of property to be able to be developed. I think I heard Vince say something about Stewart Gardens. Stewart Gardens is along the waterfront. You know more about that area than probably most of us. And they have already had to move people for the prior properties that they have renovated, not renovated, but have put for new construction. And they've got another group of affordable housing. Aqua Vista is another area that they're looking at. So it's a lot of opportunity, but we want to also have them have our teams bring ideas. Not just doing it the same way it's always been done if it's affordable housing, but how can we do it differently? How can it really benefit the community? And so that's what I believe they're looking for.
Hey, Tracy, this is Owen.
Yes.
Quick point for you. Depending on the size of these RFPs or the projects itself, you know, as minority firms, we may have to really consider, you know, forming some joint ventures to be able to go after these packages based on the size, you know, because if you have 40 acres, you have 20 acres of, you know, chances are one minority firm may not be large enough to take that down. And especially when you have election year coming up. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because, you know, one of the projects I'm on, that's what we had to do. There's not enough MBEs to fill that block. But here we have a number of MBEs that are on this. And if we start looking at, you know, when we get down there, start looking at who we have and start looking at maybe just joint venturing to form bigger firms, we probably can be very effective in that manner. So that's something we need to at least put on the table going forward.
Sure. No, I agree. I have 3 investors that I'm also bringing next week. So, you know, I'm hoping that they will look at the projects in that way too. So I would like to have as much collaboration as we could, you know, with the folks on the phone and others that may not have been able to join, along with the investors that, you know, may be able to take some of these properties and go ahead and, you know, write the check. And then we have several of you to join together to be able to, you know, get the properties up to speed. And then to look at the banks in the area. A couple meetings with some community banks, but, you know, I've not worked as closely with the traditional banks as I did in the past, but I think the community banks are very interested. So.
Hi, this is Charlene Reynolds with Creative Insurance Concepts, and I have a unique perspective. I'm a surety bonding agent, so I've actually worked with contractors on projects, and probably the reason why you haven't had a lot of minority business contractors show an interest is that they probably are having challenges or thinking that they'll have a challenge obtaining bonding, and that's one component that I don't know that the city has the capacity to override the protocols for bonding requirement, but that's been a challenge on most of the larger projects. But there are ways to overcome that. And the best way to do that is to be proactive and get the bond pre-qualification done before the minority business goes into the bid process to be able to enable them to meet that capacity, and also breaking the projects up in phases so that they don't have to bond such a large amount is another way to do that. So I'm going to on October 24th, because I'd like to give the city a perspective from a minority business surety bond agency, and just let them know some of the experiences that I have encountered as a surety agent. And I also own a petroleum company, so I'm looking to be a part of the fueling of the projects once they get started as well. So I will definitely be attending on October 24th.
Darlene, so good to hear your voice. I'm so glad that you're joining.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? This doesn't stop the questions. I mean, you can send emails, but everybody that attended today will get that invite. And for those people that didn't, they're gonna get it also. And we got, as I said, we got the recording. I will just end by saying this. It's we know some of the roads we've traveled and been down, but you know, based on looking at what's happening right now and what their need is, I think they're serious about, and they have opened the book to the point to, as Owen was talking about, joint ventures. So it's not just about a single MBE getting work. It's you know, we pull the right teams together to be able to compete down there. So
I do have another question. The RFPs that's out there, are they on the City of Newport News site?
yes, they are, and we actually have a link. We can send that. And
Okay, thank you.
I've got a quick question for you. Hi, my name is Erica. I'm principal broker of Modern Family Real Estate and a project manager. Does the zoning change at all in that area?
That's a really good question. It's a possibility. We could probably get that answered sooner than later, because that sounds like that'll be really important for our conversations next week. Tommy, is everybody sending the questions to you?
Okay.
yes, right now.
Yeah. Okay. I can probably take that one offline though, because that'll be good for us to know in advance.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, send the questions. I think everybody's got Claudia's email address, because that's what went out on the invite. Just reply back to that with any questions you have, and we'll compile them and share them with everybody.
I shared it on the chat also, Tommy.
Okay.
Hey, Tommy and Tracy, this is a question I wanted to ask. Do you think it would be advantageous for us to have someone from their procurement office to help with navigating some of these questions on the procurement side?
Yeah, I'm sure that they're going to, well, you know, we've had the gentleman who leads the EDA team, but I imagine that they will have their lead procurement officer. She's been on every call, and I did a tour back in the summer with one or two other folks, and she was a part of that too. So I'm sure they'll have her.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Joe.
Yep.
I mean, and I think Tracy and Floyd, my intent is that, I mean, we get questions from the group before we get down there. I can forward those to Owen, is not the Owen that's on the screen, but their Owen. I can forward those questions to them, you know, ahead of time, and they can get them to the right folks.
Yeah, I think that we'll do a debrief with the city to let them know how many people have confirmed, because we need to give them the numbers and the names, and then we'll share some of the top line questions. That doesn't mean you all can't continue to, you know, to drum up your questions, but to make sure we at least get those first round of questions answered. And they have the right people in the room to answer them, so we don't have to do as much follow-up. I will tell you all, when I went before and I took down, they were looking for someone in sports and entertainment, so I took another gentleman, another minority business, but they were outside of the state. And we did do the first meeting where they showed all the projects and we talked through those, and then we did the tour. of the major projects in different parts of the city. And Newport News is a lot larger than I anticipated. And so you should account for at least a minimum of a couple of hours. Our tour was around 2.5 hours. And that was because we went in great detail with questions and in different parts of the city and where the major projects were. And so account for, once we've confirmed all the time and logistics, account for a good block of time.
Tracy, another question for the walkthrough. Will it be in proximity that we can walk to these places, or do we have to consider driving from place to place?
So because the group was smaller, the last tour, we got into the city vans to do the tour. Some places where we had greater interest, we got out and we walked the property, and other places we rode by and we talked through. That was after the high level presentation at the mayor's office.
So
if
I could,
what I would suggest is if people have specific interest in certain projects, that they let us know when they send their questions in, so we can make a note of that might be an area where we would spend maybe a little more time.
Are we able to, is there a block of time that's known for this tour on the 24th?
yeah, so this Tommy, again, I'll tell you that they blocked out from 1 to 5 to do this. So, and Tracy, you were not on when at the initial, we're gonna send out an invite for the 24th. Claudia will send that out and need folks to respond back by Friday, 5 o'clock. And that way I'll be able to collect the numbers and pass to the city the number of folks they can anticipate are coming. And then they can set whatever transportation they need to move us around. That's right. That's what Owen's waiting for back at the city of Newport News.
You sure we can't move that time to 3 o'clock to give you time to get that to him?
We can move to 3 o'clock. I'm easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Not
I've
really.
been an old
yeah.
military guy.
Okay.
Said by noon on Friday, I need your information. Okay.
Yeah, we just need you to say you're coming and your questions, and if there's a specific property that you might have some interest in. I would really like it if someone could think about that property that I think one is the not train station, but the seafood property, restaurant market, and then the other property that's on the water. It's a really beautiful property. It was has been in the hands of the former mayor's daughter for a little while, and unfortunately, she's not able to continue forward with it. But it's a really beautiful property, and it is on the water.
Are you speaking of the restaurant that's there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, Tracy and Tommy, would it help if we narrowed down the scope of the projects for the group for that particular tour? Instead of, trying to do so many in one day?
Yeah.
Should we prioritize that?
Mm-hmm. I can go through some of the ones that I'm familiar with that, have a high probability for us to, make some headway with, and we can talk through that. But if you all have interest in certain projects, I think it would be important for us to at least let them know what they are.
Okay.
But I think that's a good idea for it.
And so I'm gonna ask one change. I'm gonna ask you to send me your confirmation by Thursday at noon. If you need more time than that, let me know, and we'll get it to Newport News before they close out this week.
Yeah, I want them to know how many people are coming.
Tracy, I did tell them we had an estimate of 30 people that were signing up for our interest group. that had signed up for our interest
Okay.
group. So
And it doesn't mean that this is the last
no,
opportunity. This is the first opportunity. So we want to, we want to take our best when we go the first time. That's how I would like to do it.
okay.
So I consider everybody
Right.
on the phone our best. So I hope you're interested.
Hey Tracy,
Yes.
this is Ken Johnson. How's everybody doing? I
Hey, Ken.
hopped on a little late. Hey, I just got a quick question. It's going to be a weird question. I know there's a group of business folks down there that get together, minority business folks that meet regularly, that have done very well for themselves. Have they not been interested in it? For example, the August Brothers and all those guys?
So I think that the Biagas brothers have some interest in some other areas right now. I'm not saying that they're not, but they have shifted some of their interests. I don't know the other people that are a part of the group you're referencing, but John has been very close to the City of Newport News and people on EDA, so I'm sure if there's something he's really keen on, he probably would have already secured it. But in my last conversation with him, he had shifted some of his focus. So I don't know the
Got
others.
it. Well, no, I just didn't want to step on a political landmine as well, whereas, some of the business folks may be mad about stuff that we don't know about, and, that sort of deal. Because for them to hop skip all the way to Richmond, I found it just interesting, yet good.
No, I think it's a good question, Ken, because they're closer to the projects than we are. But I also think sometimes when you're comfortable with what's happening right around you, it may or may not have the same level of interest, or maybe there's some political reasons why you haven't. I know that he's on quite a few boards down there, so he's run into a few conflicts of interest in some of the dealings of doing business there as well.
Yeah, I just use them as an example. They have a group down there very similar to us up here with the MBL and all that. So that's why I was just curious. Thanks, Tracy.
Okay. Yeah.
And thanks for pulling
No,
us
that's
together.
good. Good to hear your voice. All right, you're welcome.
Okay. Claudia, you got those two links. Please send that in an email to the folks on those two projects in Newport News. Okay. If there are no other questions, that's all I have from my desk. Floyd? Tracy, anything else? Anyone on the
getting on today? I'm glad that you got on, that I had a chance to talk with you. I'm looking forward to seeing many of you that I've worked with before and some of the others that I haven't met before.
Okay. All right. Well, for me, great meeting all of you for the first time virtually, and look forward to seeing you in person.
Great meeting you guys as well. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you,
Right.
everyone.
Thanks, Tommy.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Tommy,
Thank you.
Tracy. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Guys.
See you on the 24th.
Thank you. Thanks, Tommy and Floyd.
Trace.